and our adult education programming were both flourishing. Our E.B. Hirsch Early Childhood Center was finding new excitement under the leadership of our new director, Jen Platt. Our security leadership team of lay leaders and staff met regularly the past year to upgrade our facility both outside and inside the building through the use of several federal and state security grants. Overall, our finances were in great shape thanks to our dues, generous support of our annual giving campaign, our 2019 spring fundraiser, and sound management led by our executive director, Joanne Windman, and David Weiss, our controller, along with the strong support of our staff and lay leadership. Then a lockdown mandated by the circumstances changed all of our lives. We were forced to stay home and miss the face-to-face contact we so look forward to in our Temple community. Quick action was necessary, and in this regard, we were and we are still being led through the pandemic through the great foresight of our clergy and staff to adapt and act. We were ready to switch almost seamlessly to stream services, Zoom education, and virtual life cycle events. This allowed and still allowed us to assemble as a community to practice our Judaism. I know for me, this continuity is a source of comfort. Our numbers of the community watching our Shabbat services often exceeds 500 families. And if you have not done so, we ask you to join us. In fact, even start tonight at 6:15 where we have Shabbat services. Through your continued support, we will continue to provide these and more essential services as long as it takes before we return physically to our beloved BHC building. But what I've been saying since the very first time I got to address you, BHC is more than a building. We are a community. As this is my final night as BHC president, let me thank all of you for the honor in granting me the opportunity to serve as president for the last 2 years. It has been such a rewarding experience. I want to thank all the members of our board of electors who have been part of this experience in leading this congregation, and especially to Steve Sharfstein, my mentor and immediate past president, for all the guidance he has given me. We are in good hands with our soon-to-be president, John Elias, who has assembled a strong leadership team to guide us through these difficult times. John will be successful. So too, I want to thank the many volunteers who worked so long and hard to make BHC what it is for all of us. You are an inspiration to us all. I know it sounds like a broken record since I try to say it every time I have the opportunity to speak to you. Our clergy team is amazing. Rabbis Bush and Sachs-Cohn and Cantors Ellerin and Sachs continue to be proactive, caring souls who anticipate and forward think all of the issues regarding this institution. They are amazing people, and we are so blessed to have them here. Thank you so much to Brad Cohn for all you did here during the past 10 years. You have righted our educational program by leaps and bounds. You will be so missed for the effort and positive results you have given us. Thank you, Joanne, again, and your entire staff for the behind-the-scenes work you do daily to run this place and have so much helped me in being president. You and your team are the backbone of this amazing congregation, and I thank you all. Last but not least, I want to thank my wife, Kathy, and our family. It has been a tough year for us all, and I thank you for your patience, continuing support, care, and understanding as I tended to BHC chores and sometimes ignored family issues. Shabbat Shalom to you all. Please take care of yourselves. We are a strong community, and together we will get through this disruption. I now want to just advise you a little bit about Zoom. I don't know how much of you know about Zoom, but tonight you're all muted. That means you're not going to get an opportunity to really talk. If you look at the bottom, there's a button called chat. You can hit that and then you can join in the chat conversation that's taking place. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to do so. You're going to be able to vote through Zoom on anything that needs to be voted on tonight. And generally, when you come to an annual meeting, on your chairs, there is an annual report. Well, I couldn't come around to your houses today, they wouldn't let me. But through the help of Lauren Loran, she made it happen. Our annual report is on the BHC website. If you get a moment, please look at it. It's pretty interesting. So let's start the meeting with some business. The 2019 annual meeting minutes were circulated, well, not circulated, but they were available at the Temple office. I have a copy of it in front of me, but Stan Gand, is there anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to dispense with the reading of the 2019 minutes.
Okay. Can we get that to a vote?
So on your screen should be a poll. Please go ahead and vote.
So you vote and hit submit, and
We'll wait about another 20 seconds to give you a chance to vote.
to give us the treasurer's report regarding 2018 through 2019. Benji? Benji, you have to unmute.
Hold on one second.
Okay.
There you are.
All right. Baltimore Hebrew congregation's fiscal year runs from July through June. The congregation's auditors are Allen and Tucker Chartered. Their audit report on the congregation's financials for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2019 was completed this past December. The report expressed an unqualified opinion on the financial condition of the congregation. The report is available for inspection by contacting the Executive Director, Joanne Widman. Here are the results of the operations for the fiscal year July 1, 2018 to June 30, 2019. The congregation had unrestricted revenues of $5.7 million and unrestricted expenses of $5.8 million, resulting in a decrease in net assets in the amount of $100,000. Our temporarily and permanently restricted funds had a gain of $390,200. At the end of the fiscal year ending June 30, 2019, the congregation's auditors reported assets totaling $25.3 million and liabilities totaling $582,800. Of the assets reported, the net unrestricted assets after reduction for liabilities totaled $5.6 million, while $19.2 million were restricted by donors for specific purposes. Of the assets we hold, $4.2 million represents fixed assets in our building. The congregation has no long-term debts. Our funds are invested by the Associated Jewish Community Investment Fund. Prior to the happenings associated with the pandemic health crisis, we were headed for a surplus for the 2020 fiscal year. We're currently assessing the impact of this event will have on BHC's financial picture as we move forward. I'd like to thank David Castine, my assistant treasurer, Joanne Winman, executive director, David Weiss, BHC's controller, Ebony Jackson, BHC's bookkeeper. I've thoroughly enjoyed being your treasurer for the last 2 years and assistant treasurer prior to that. Respectfully submitted, Benji Dubin, treasurer.
Am I unmuted? Okay, thank you, Brad. Thank you, Benji, for your report. I'm really grateful that I was asked to do the sort of rundown of what the congregation has been doing since we all transitioned into this time of isolation, because frankly, as Richard pointed to, it's really hard to remember what we were doing before this started. But I will say just a couple of things before I run through a quick rundown. First and foremost, I want to give my utmost kavod, respect, to Rabbi Bush, who has been so forward-thinking in moving us to the places we needed to be right at the beginning of this crisis, and at every step of the way. It has been an honor to lead the congregation along with him during this time. And so thank you, Rabbi Bush, and also to Richard and John, who stepped into lay leadership in a way that has been really impressive and remarkable. And I'm grateful for their partnership as well. And then I just have to also add all of the professionals who serve Baltimore Hebrew as a community, all of us who are working together to make sure that that the life of our community, while it seems perhaps to be paused in some way, is in fact not paused at all. It is simply moved over a little bit into a little box, like the ones that you see on your screen. So I am grateful to everyone for their work. So let me just very quickly tell you what I think you probably already know. If you read your email enough to be at this meeting, then it probably means that you're reading your emails enough to know all of the incredible things that we have been doing as a congregation. But it's an opportunity also to let you know what you can look toward participating in coming weeks, maybe months, we don't know. We have, as Richard has said, had over 500 sign-ins to Shabbat services. Just regular Friday and Saturday services, over 500 sign-ins is completely remarkable, completely magnificent in this time. And we're grateful to know so many people are there because real experience for me and Rabbi Bush leading alone in our houses at a table. We've started a new offering in this crazy time. We have PJ Story Time every Shabbat now at 6 o'clock, preceding our 6:15 service. So if you want to join the service at 6:15, you don't have to listen to a story, but they're pretty good stories, even for people who consider themselves older than PJ. And then those young families who want to be there for the story can stay or not stay, depending on what's happening in their homes. In addition to our services, we are teaching all sorts of classes, and all sorts of members of our community are teaching classes, including, I would mention, Rabbi Bookdahl, our Temple Emmanuel Rabbi Emeritus, who is always ready to jump in, to help out, to add his voice to what the rest of the clergy are doing in the congregation. We've had classes on Musar, on poetry, on Psalms, what one learns in cantorial school, if one is in cantorial school, Jewish music. Next week we have a wonderful Israeli educator and tour guide who has worked with BHC trips in Europe most recently, and he will be teaching a series of classes. We have weekly interviewed members of our congregation who have some expertise in some aspect of this very strange experience that we are all living through. We have ongoing, and kol hakavod, all the honor, all the glory to Brad for continuing our youth education experience. And he will tell you that not every congregation around the country, and not even every large congregation around the country, has kept their religious education and activities program going the way that ours has. We have weekly creative, fun, engaging activities and learning. We have Next Gen continuing for our teens. They're getting together and playing Pictionary, and having their guys group and their girls group, and continuing to bond and connect with each other. E.B. Hirsch, of course, it's deeply sad that our littlest ones can't be together in person, but Jen has responded by encouraging her teachers to have play dates and check-ins with their classes, and check-ins with each other, which I think has been tremendously valuable for her teachers as well. We are also not confined to working within our BHC community. It has been a priority for us to continue supporting things beyond even our virtual walls. We have 15 people as of today making masks for donation to various kinds of facilities around the community. We have folks still making casseroles for our daily bread, which Alice Troche has agreed to come to the parking lot of BHC to open the back of her car. Folks will slide those in, no contact among anyone, but the people who rely on those casseroles to literally survive will still have them. And we have also made donations, money donations to local entities who when they go to school, and so we are helping with that as well. We are having lots of meetings, lots and lots and lots of meetings. We are having clergy meetings, we are having leadership meetings, we are having our regular staff meetings, and we are including all of our staff, which is not norm for us. Normally that is senior staff, how we define that. And but we are having weekly meetings that includes everyone who works in the congregation, including our maintenance, because it feels so important to us to remain connected in the most human ways that we can. Okay, so that's the recap of everything that's happened just in the last couple of weeks, and I'm trying to stay to my time limit. I think I'm coming close to running over. But it's also my task to say that we are this year honoring for the Carol J. Kaplan Service and Commitment Award everyone who volunteers in our congregation in any capacity at any point in the year. And literally, I could take the rest of the time of our annual meeting reading that list of names, because we are a congregation where people step forward with their time, with their energy, with their talents, to not just receive what is given out, but themselves to give, themselves to participate, to bring kol nidad libo, the free will offerings of their hearts. And so we honor everyone who has participated throughout the year, particularly those who have stepped up in this most recent time of crisis. We have had 75 different people offer and in fact make phone calls to members of their fellow BHC community. That's remarkable that many people are willing to and open to connecting with the community in that way. And in fact, we have called either the clergy, the staff, or volunteer members, every member of our very large congregation in these weeks. And we will be calling all of you again. The goal is the next Jewish holiday, Shavuot. We'll try. We hope we'll get there, but certainly as quickly as we can. Working on office tasks, coordinating and running programs, recruiting people to participate in programs, being the outward face of Baltimore Hebrew in the larger community, hosting collections for our community partners, editing things that are produced in the congregation and sent out to the congregation. I could go on, but what I will say is we are a community that only is a community, a sacred community, because of all of the people who step forward to make us the community that we are. Thank you. On behalf of Carol J. Kaplan, on behalf of your clergy, your staff, your professionals, we are grateful for all of your volunteering. And next in line, Mr. Sharfstein, Mr. Dr.
That's fine. Baltimore Hebrew congregation knows how to renew itself. The nominating committee presents the following officers and board members. Officers serving 2-year terms: President John Elias, First Vice President Gary Aiken, Vice President Brett Cohn, Vice President Amy Sponseller, Treasurer David Castine, Assistant Treasurer Robert L. Waldman, Secretary Jennifer Liu. Board members serving 3-year terms: Jill Feinberg, Helene Kahn, Linda Nathan, Carol Sandler, Jonathan Schwartz, Susan Sherman, and the presidential appointee, Brian Katzenberg. The committee, the nominating committee with myself as chair, consisted of Nancy Agan, Claudia Cameron, Steve Kornblatt, Denise Feldman, Ross Goldstein, Andy Hanover, Jennifer Liu, who was recused for the discussion of secretary, and Lauren Wayne. Thank you. That's my report.
Thank you, Steve. It's time to vote. You're going to see on your screen, we've had to break it up into 3 separate votes. But Brad, if you could put them up on the screen, the 3 votes. So there is a third one. So you get to vote for, first one will be our officers, please vote. Board members as listed, please vote. And then hit on the submit button. There's a third question. No, there's not a third question.
We were able to take out the third question.
We were able to. All right, so it's all in 2. I now would, while we're waiting for the results of that, I would call on our bylaw chairman, Stanford Gann. Could you unmute him, please? Stan.
Shabbat Shalom again. So on behalf of the proxies for this year, which was Paul Himlis, Carl Silverman, and Alan Hirsch III and myself, the congregation received through SurveyMonkey voting before this meeting 155 yes votes, which not only constituted our quorum, but would be more than enough to pass. I believe there are 94 participants on this call, but there are, on behalf of the proxies, submitted 155 yes votes, and that would be the submission from the proxies.
Thank you. Brad, do we have the results of the polling yet here?
We do, Richard. It is 100% unanimous. Yes.
All right. So we're going to consider that 94 votes yes. So the election is over and all the officers and directors have been elected. Next, I'm calling on Rabbi Bush.
Thank you, Richard. Let me thank all of you who are attending this meeting. Let me thank Rabbi Sykes-Cohen for her kind words and her partnership. And let me pause for a moment before I do my role of both releasing and thanking the outgoing electors and officers and installing the incoming electors and officers to make a couple of very brief comments. One, I see some people in beards who are not usually in beards. That's I could have not shaven for 3 weeks and I would look about the same as I look right now, actually. It just doesn't happen. In terms of that, let me also thank, and Richard referenced this at the beginning, we have been learning daily and weekly about security on Zoom. And let me thank Brad Cohen and Stuart Cohen, not for their last names, but for their security work today on the call hand in hand with Joanne. There's been some there. Brad comes to this as our director of education. Stuart, as many of you know, in addition to teaching our religious school, works for the FBI, so we have the highest security for our meeting. And let me especially, before I release and install, say 2 more things. One, I have been moved by the way that so many volunteers making calls and staff and clergy, have been reaching out to those members of our congregation who are directly impacted by this coronavirus situation, either economically or health-wise. And I want to take this opportunity, as I have on every Zoom call and service, if you or you know someone in the congregation who is directly personally impacted, don't put it in chat, but please reach out to one of the staff. We will keep it confidential, but we will do everything we can to support those members directly impacted. Secondly, as Richard Kemper properly reminded us at our last board meeting, let me thank Steve Sharfstein for his leadership over the past 6 years especially, and overall in general. And let me thank Richard. As I mentioned when a few of you were on, we have been teasing Richard in this virtual world of when he shows up in a tie and not in a tie. He does have a tie under that sweater today. But through what can be some difficult times, Richard has stood by us hand in hand. And even as immediate past president, as our other past presidents on this call know, Richard will continue to be doing work for the congregation. He frankly accepted a new assignment from John Elias and me just this morning to follow up on some things that fall in his reality as well. Now, just what some of you are waiting for, those that Steve read, and also Sid Brovman and Suzanne Strutt, who are fulfilling terms of leadership of brotherhood and sisterhood at this moment, let me release you from service with the following words. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. You sustain and nourish us with the sacred wisdom and traditions of our people. You work alongside us to bring the light of justice and compassion to God's broken world. In your service to our congregation, you bear witness to our lives and accompany us on our journey. You help us elevate our consciousness and search in every hour for the holy presence in our lives. For your dedication to our community, may God lift your hearts. For 190 years, our congregation has had lay leadership. That's 10 more years than our congregation has actually had rabbinic leadership, let alone cantors and the following other staff members of the congregation. As you step down from this office, we know especially at this time, you do not step down from your commitment to Judaism, to your community, to our congregation and its values. While no one can hear each other thanks to Brad's work, I'd like to ask us all to give a round of applause to our outgoing officers and electors, please. Some of you have mastered it on Cantor Ellerin's side even in terms of what to do there. And now, all jokes aside about timing, and trust me, when it comes to emergencies, my timing can be pretty bad. May you embrace, as new electors and officers, in the midst of my comments here to invite John Elias to read the prayer that we would be asking all incoming officers and electors to read. John, please.
And now, O God, what is it that you require of us? Torah teaches to revere Adonai our God, to love and serve God with all our heart and soul, and to preserve the traditions of our people. Bless us, O God, with wisdom, strength, and understanding. Sustain us with your spirit. Help us to fulfill this sacred task and allow us to grow in faith, knowledge, and commitment. Help us to nurture this congregation with our spirit, skills, and insights. May we work as partners in leading our members closer together and to you. May we bring your presence more fully into our world. May our efforts ever be a source of blessing. Amen.
Amen. The psalmist wrote, Eseinai el harim ma'ayin yavo Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from God, maker of heaven and earth. As leaders of this congregation, hand in hand with all the volunteers and those who work for the congregation, may you find strength in all that is holy, be it high up in the mountains or simply sitting right next to you in your homes, down the street, or a mere phone call away to those who are more isolated to yourselves. May you find strengths in each other, in our community, and in all that we hold holy in our lives. Personally and on behalf of the congregation and its staff, on behalf of Rabbi Sachs Cohn, Cantor Ellerin, Cantor Sachs, our fabulous cantorial intern Becky Mann, who is still serving the congregation from her parents' house in Nevada, and I believe is on this call, Brad Cohen, Rabbi Buchdahl, and all who volunteer for this congregation and work for it and its values. Together we install you in leadership and appreciate your service and leadership. Amen. You can give them a round of applause too.
And
You
now,
can decide later which round of applause was louder than which, but let me invite Cantor Ellerin to bless you with Shechianu.
we thank God for helping us reach this occasion. And I invite you to sing along with us, even though you're on mute. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. And now we have an opportunity to thank Brad Cohen in this setting, although we hope when the opportunity arises to thank him in person that we will have many opportunities to thank him for all that he has done for BHC over his decade of service as Director of Education. And to help us with that, let me invite Amy Baum to represent our education families. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I just want to first say I'm really impressed with the amount of people on this Zoom call, specifically, and I'm not making any judgment, but like those over the age of 50, like you are really killing it, because I know many people of that generation who are not as open-minded, and this is really awesome. So I'm honored to have the opportunity to even be a part of this. Okay, so I was asked to share a few words about Brad, and I'll try to do this without crying or laughing because I get nervous. I asked my boys, Eli and Noah, I said, shoot, I have this call. Give me some words to describe Brad. And they said, kind, patient, helpful, cool, nice, understanding, and funny. And, you know, what I would add to that, Brad has had a tremendous impact on our family, on Baltimore Hebrew, and on the community, in our community. And I think we all feel that. And what stands out to me about Brad is, yes, he's creative and he's calm and he thinks outside the box. Everybody knows that. But he meets you where you are, like as a Jewish person, and as an individual, and there's no judgment. So whether you're someone who's never gone to services or whether you're someone who's really looking to further your Jewish identity, he's there and without judgment. And so that is something that has really like impacted me. And I feel that every single person that has been brought into the BHC fold feels that too. So I could give lots of examples, but we're going to miss you very much. Now take me off.
Amy, thank you for those beautiful words about Brad. I'm not going to say a lot at this moment. I have a lot to say about Brad and to Brad. But I am also waiting for that moment when we can be physically in each other's presence to truly speak the words of my heart. But I could have written pretty much everything that Amy just said, because the core of Brad is not his intelligence, which he has, and it's not his learning, which he has, and it's not his professional skill, which he has. The core of Brad and the magic that he does in this community and will do in the next community that he serves is his heart. And the love that he brings, not just to being Jewish and learning Jewish and doing Jewish, but to each and every person that he has any interaction with. And that is what I will miss, among many other things, about Brad, and what I want to honor by offering him the first piece of the priestly benediction this evening. It is that heart that I speak to. Brad, Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May you feel in everything that you do and everything that you are blessed, and may you feel safe.
Brad, as a colleague and as an educator, and our own horizons. And so, as an educator, as much as you have helped to light the way for so many people in their own Jewish education, it is a pleasure to be able to share this second blessing from the priestly benediction. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you. May God's light shine light onto your path now as you and your family move forward into this new journey, and may God be gracious unto all of you, Brad. Thank you.
There's an irony that we've let the person we're honoring right now decide who's muted and not muted, actually. And the further irony I'll give you is that I understand from Brad, he snuck off virtually to Temple Emmanuel of Denver's annual meeting earlier this week, actually. We wish him well at the mountains from which he will bring Torah, unlike the mountains from which Torah came down. We have during this meeting talked about the many different people who bring life to this congregation. The last thing after we are done honoring Brad will be to hear from our new president, John Elias, as he sets us forward. But Brad, at the core of all of this is learning. At the core of all of this is Torah. You came to us from Los Angeles, and Rabbi Richard Levy, who spent his career in Los Angeles, taught the following: Jewish study is not a solitary endeavor carried out by a lonely scholar. Once Torah was brought down, the attainment of truth has been the responsibility, the teaching, and the learning from each other. Brad, as much as you learn and embrace Torah itself and knowledge, as Amy, as Rabbi Sykes Cohen, as Cantor Ellerman said, what you really embrace is the people with whom you learn Torah, regardless of their age, regardless of their footing, regardless of where they may find themselves on a theoretical mountain, or at your most happy moments when you actually take them out on mountains. And so as you go off to the Rockies, know that you always have a home here, and that we are honored to have learned with you and taught with you. Yisarnai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God grant you, Claire, your children, your whole family, health, happiness, and future learning. Amen. And as some of you know, Debbie's and my mentor taught us to call this next moment the rebuttal. And so let me invite Brad to unmute himself actually at this moment.
Thank you, Rabbi Bush, Rabbi Sachs-Cohen, Ken Ellerin, and Amy. Those are beautiful words, and I never thought on a Zoom meeting I'd be tearing up and crying. But thank you. I have some remarks, and I just want to say, kind of, sort of, Rabbi Sachs-Cohen said there'll be more time for more remarks, and everybody. This is kind of what came to my mind. So 10 years ago, when we arrived in Baltimore for my official interview, Joanne Women, our executive director, greeted Claire and I with a hug. Rabbi Bush welcomed us into his house with a home-cooked meal by his daughter Johanna. We had no doubt that Baltimore Hebrew Congregation was the right job. Even our incoming president, John Elias, gave us a ride to the airport, making us feel part of the community we were so longing for. And over the past 10 years, the BHC community has become part of our family and supported my growth as a Jewish educator. BHC will always be a congregation to me that is open to creativity, work-life balance, generosity, compassion, and perseverance. It is a place of collaboration, as I have fond memories of walking into Rabbi Sachs-Cohen's office and creating programs like Family Shabbat, now in its third year of infusing Shabbat services into our young families' lives. Walking into Ken Ellerin's office and just pitching the wildest ideas and him saying, great, let's figure it out. Those memories will last me a lifetime. But in all, we've built a thriving, growing, and incredible youth education program that really infuses a strong Jewish identity into all the students who take part in it. Our Next Gen program, our 8th through 12th grade program, our E.B. Hirsch Early Childhood Center, our youth groups are strong and continue to grow. They are the best in Baltimore and renowned across the country. I will, of course, always remember interacting with the kids and the families and the parents and the adults and the lay leaders and staff and teachers and clergy, as they have taught me so much about life, about myself, about Judaism and the community. I am beyond thrilled with the choice of the new Director of Education, Rachel Motowski, who is a dear colleague of mine. She will be a true asset to this community, and I'm excited to see what she can do. So I want to say thank you for BHC for taking a moment to honor me tonight. Thank you for growing with me. Thank you for growing with my family as tantrums were thrown by kids in the hallway or celebrating in services together. Thank you to all the staff and clergy, past and present. BHC will always remain a place we call home, even as we move towards our next adventure. BHC is near and dear to our hearts, and we love all of you. And I want to say thank you for taking the moment to honor me on this special evening. It is my honor to introduce our new president, John Elias, to share some remarks as we move forward.
Shabbat Shalom. For those of you who do not know me, I'm John Elias, and it is with humility and pride that I've accepted the honor of becoming the president of Baltimore Hebrew Congregation. I am a lifelong member of BHC. I was bar mitzvahed and confirmed here, and my wife Linda and I were married by Rabbi Julie Spitzer of blessed memory. Our children, Julie and Alex, were both b'nai mitzvah here. Our family traces our membership on my mother's side into the 19th century, when her ancestors emigrated from Germany, and on my father's side shortly thereafter. I recognize the significance of being here tonight in a virtual meeting, rather than in person, but I've not lost sight of the extraordinary work that we need to do. I want all of our congregants who are willing and able to participate as we navigate this next chapter of our 190-year history. It is important that we face this new time period with an outlook to the future in the same realistic, practical, yet optimistic way that has sustained us through these years. Let's look at the glass as half full, while we acknowledge the very real challenges we face. The fact that we're having this meeting in a virtual format is a vivid reminder that we are sheltered in place, except for those who are in the most needed fields. Most of our lives have been altered in ways we could not have imagined. From day-to-day routines to employment, to education, to exercise, and to worship. Changes have been made, and we cannot be certain of when or how normalization will be upon us or what it may look like. I've tried to remind myself, my family, my friends, my colleagues that we are very fortunate in that we have our health, a roof over our heads, and food on our tables. It is a fact that among our congregants, neighbors, and friends, there are those who already have been or will in the near future be impacted by COVID-19 more than we have been. It is my belief that our best path through these times is to recognize that we are all in this together, and that now more than ever, we need to utilize our BHC community to heal and to better our congregation. In order to get everyone on that page, we need a large dose of collaboration. Each of us brings a viewpoint and life experiences that can have an impact on how we view what BHC has done in the past and how to better it in the future. Perhaps unlike any time in the recent past, we must all be committed to the future well-being of BHC. If someone from the clergy or leadership or the staff requests your assistance on a project, please donate your time. They're making the ask because they need your help. Everyone has been affected by COVID-19 in some way, and we must remember that there are those in our congregation that are in real need of our help. Your resources will also be needed to help us sustain the temple we love. You've heard Benji Dubin, our outgoing treasurer, report to us in a way that prior to the virus and the sheltering, we've been in an excellent financial position. Our budget committee is currently structuring a realistic budget, which is mindful of our situation, to present to the Board of Electors in the coming weeks. Like all institutions, there may be some members that will struggle to pay their dues or be unable to contribute to our annual giving. In order to be able to address changes that may arise, Richard and I have asked Gary Aiken, our first vice president, to chair a new committee called the Contingency Planning Task Force. The group will be modeling different scenarios relating to our finances, revenue, and expenses, and how they might be impacting the congregation. We want to be prepared with several strategies to respond to the potentially changing financial environment. Something that is of great importance to us all is how we are able to survive this moment and be prepared to thrive going forward. We have an historic organization with wonderful traditions, a superb group of clergy, a great new education director, and people who will deeply care about each other and this institution. It is my opinion that we need to grow our membership as a whole, specifically our younger membership. And to that end, I've asked David Castine, our treasurer, to lead a group of our younger members, including singles, married couples, and couples with children, to explore the best way that we can engage those who are currently members but not fully engaged, and those of our friends, of their friends and acquaintances that are not members, about their potential interest in what we have to offer to their Jewish life. At this time, I'd like to thank our past president, Steve Sharfstein, and his nominating committee for assembling a wonderful group to fill our executive committee and the board of electors. Our staff, led by Executive Director Joanne Winman, has made our move to the virtual congregation as smooth as could have been imagined. A thanks also to our Director of Education, Brad Cohen, for moving his entire programming to online education and to his wonderful 10 years of dedication to the congregation. At this time, I would like to welcome our new Director of Education, Rachel Opatowski, who will be joining us July 1st when Brad moves on to his new position in Colorado. Rachel, please say hello to the congregation.
Shalom, everyone. My name is Rachel Opatowski, and as John said, I'm going to be the new Director of Education at Baltimore Hebrew Congregation. I'm coming to Baltimore from Oklahoma with my husband Joshua and my 20-month-old son Natan, and I look forward to continuing my career at BHC I can't wait to meet you all in person, and thank you for having me at the annual meeting. I hope you all have a Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. We all look forward to you joining the BHC family. Thanks to our wonderful clergy, led by our senior rabbi, Andy Bush, whose experience in Hurricane Katrina, his patience and humanity are helping us through this challenge. Thanks to my wife, Linda. Thank you for your patience, caring, and never wavering love and support in assisting me in this new role. To my son, Alex, and my daughter, Julie, and her fiance, August, for being great cheerleaders and encouraging me to do this. Finally, to my mentor at BHC and my friend of 45 years, Richard Gross. You've been a leader and a role model to all who have served with you, and I thank you for asking me to be a part of our team. This gift that I'm not holding, presented by the congregation, is a hollow plate and knife. I have it, Richard. I have neglected to bring it into the room. To be used on Shabbat in the sanctuary, which serve as a lasting honor to your service. I want to close with what I believe to be of paramount importance. If we unite our community, if we collaborate with one another, and if we demonstrate our commitment to this institution, we will emerge stronger than before. Shabbat Shalom. We'd like to close the meeting by thanking you all for coming. And we'd ask that you all be safe and healthy and join us for the Shabbat service, which will be on stream at 6:15. Thank you and Shabbat Shalom.